Hello BookTube, this is Kelly with Books I'm Not Reading. I've been trying to come up with a creative setup today. I've got my luggage here, but you can't see it of course. So anyway, my flights were delayed, my train was canceled, my bus was slowed down, and so I am behind on my videos related to the Betsy-Tacy series and Maud Hart Lovelace books about Betsy and the Great World. And since the beginning of the series, Betsy and her friends have been talking about how they're going to go out into the great world. Betsy's older sister wants to be an opera singer, and so they've always dreamed of this. And at the start of this book, things haven't gone that well for Betsy at school. She was sick, and so eventually her father helps her, and they make arrangements for Betsy to travel to Europe, and she takes a boat over. I've read this book before, but I really did not remember anything except the end, which if you have read it, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it is a lightning rod of an ending. It is fantastic. And but I didn't really remember anything else about her trip. And in reading it this time, I realized it's because the places that she's in the longest are places I haven't been. I was so excited when she got to Paris finally, and I couldn't understand why she wasn't going to stay there a long time. And then I realized, like, you know, all the writers that, or at least the American writers that we associate with France during a certain time period come after when Betsy is there. You know, I think The Great Gatsby is published, I don't know, like at least 5 years after Betsy is there. So, you know, the Hemingway isn't there yet, Fitzgerald, that whole group, they haven't come to Paris and sort of made it the mecca for writers that I think Betsy would have really loved. So I have been to London. I haven't lived there, but I have been there twice. And so, but she goes to Munich, and she also goes to Venice, which I'd love to see. And it is really interesting. This is the first time that I've published a Betsy-Tacy video late, and so I got to see all of your videos, or as many as I could find, first. And I thought it was fascinating how so many of you were like, oh, I want her to be with all of her friends, and I want her to be with Tacy and Tib and the crowd, and you know, I want to be in Deep Valley. And I think it's so important for Betsy, for this to be just Betsy, like Betsy on her own, out in the world, for a couple different reasons. One, I think traveling is, like, it really shakes up our preconceived notions about other people, and or even just no notion at all, maybe. And I think that Betsy really needs that, especially in the time and place that she is living in. And so, because the whole time, you know World War I is coming, but Betsy keeps saying things like, well, there's never going to be another war again. Like, she just can't even fathom a world, and she's going to live through two gigantic wars, at least. So, yeah, I mean, so the other thing that I really enjoyed about this book is that it's really based primarily on letters from Maud Hart, like the author, Maud Hart Lovelace, like her trip abroad. The circumstances of this book are, this is the most kind of autobiographical in some ways, and they're based on her letters home, which of course her family saved. And so she used those letters to write this book. And I think that's fantastic. So I really, really connected with the author on a different level, knowing that many of these things had happened to her. But yeah, World War I is coming, and because Betsy has lived in Germany, her notion of it, her idea of it is, so different because she knows people in Germany. She knows women who are dating soldiers, and what is going to happen. So anyway, it's a great book, and I think it's a really important book because, again, we get to see Betsy by herself, and see how she makes friends in other countries, in language, in places where she doesn't even speak the language or doesn't speak it very well, and people do love her. It's not as though she's just really good at making friends in Deep Valley. She is a woman of the world and can make friends anywhere, can get men to fall in love with her anywhere, and or at least flirt with her. So yeah, I think I just really loved it, and loved, well, of course, the ending, but just loved getting to see Betsy travel to these different places. My family, my mother has been to Munich. My father's been to Munich, I'm sure. My mother's also been to Oberammergau, mouthful, and Venice. I just haven't been to those places, so I think that's why I didn't remember anything except the ending of this one. And I tried to play with the setup today, but I've got a few of my traveling treasures. This is the Little Mermaid. It's a replica of the statue in Copenhagen of the Little Mermaid. Of course, I've got a Dala horse from Sweden. I've got some nesting dolls from Russia. And yeah, were these things all made for tourists? They were. They totally were. It's fine. And my sister has actually had the privilege of going to Asia lately, so she brought this back for me. So anyway, this month, August, we will be discussing Betsy's wedding, which I really kind of think should be called Betsy's marriage, but we'll get into that next month. And then I believe in September we'll be reading Carney's House Party, which is kind of like a novella. It's still a Deep Valley book. And so I will post the schedule below. If you only read one of the older books, I would encourage you to read Betsy and the Great World. And you might want to get even this edition because you're going to want to start the next book right after this. So, oh, my friends, there has been so much terrible news lately. And can't even comprehend it anymore. So I have been thinking of some of you in particular, but I hope you're all well and safe. Remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others. We never know what someone else is going through, so be gentle. And take care. I will talk to you soon, BookTube. Thanks.